Hey everybody, what's going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you all. So we're gonna jump straight back into, I say straight back into just because we covered it relatively recently, but 60 card Dragon Link, which is fast becoming, I think, one of my favorite decks just to play in general. I am very much addicted to, like I talked about this in like the deck overview video we did at the start of the season, but I'm very much addicted to resolving that grass looks greener. I totally understand the appeal now. This card is, like I mentioned before, it feels like gambling. It feels like pulling a lever on a slot machine, seeing what all you mill and seeing how good your turn is going to be as a result. And your turn does tend to be very good after resolving that grass looks greener. But even aside from that, you know, we are still able to make quite a few plays. I actually, and I knew this was going to happen too, I very recently put out I don't want to call it a combo guide, it's more just like how I find combos and plays while playing Dragon Link, and I knew that somebody was going to leave a comment of like an obvious combo that I missed, and I saw quite a few, and they involved this card here, Delindrous Dragon, which I've actually played before but didn't really know how you comboed with, so I just kind of took it out again. But people in the comments were very kind enough to let me know exactly how this card is comboed with. And actually, if you play Delindrous Dragon, the one card combo that I showed that ends on Borreload can actually end on Borreload as well. So we're going to be showing that off here in this video. So very huge thank you to everyone who pointed out just how good and how to use Delindrous Dragon. It's the exact kind of response that I'm always talking about, that I love seeing when I'm, you know, telling people like, hey, you know, feel free to leave comments, let me know what you think about the build. That's exactly the kind of thing I'm looking for. So thank you very much, everybody, to everyone who left that comment there. So yeah, that's like the major change for the extra deck, and has allowed for some major changes in how we combo. I definitely noticed a significant uptick in the power level of this deck once I realized how good Delindrous Dragon is, and included it there. As far as other changes we made, it's a fairly minor one to the main deck. I actually decided to include a second Collapserpent, which I talked about this in my like deck kind of overview at the start of the season there, but I kind of gone back and forth with this in various iterations of Dragon Link, whether I want one or two Collapserpent. The idea behind running like two Wyverburster and then one Collapserpent or two is that, you know, you special Wyverburster, that gets into the graveyard, you add a Collapserpent, that gets sent, and then you get to add a Wyverburster, and then even if you can't summon that additional Wyverburster, you still get to discard it for like Dragon Ravine, for example. But if you know, go Seyfert into Collapserpent, then you get a Wyverburster, but you don't get another Collapserpent if you're only playing one. So I decided to include a second copy, again, just to search and discard with Dragon Ravine. It's just nice to have that extra card, that way you're not having to discard like an actual resource from your hand, just to keep your combos going there. As far as like my additional engines, I'm still rocking the Thunder Dragon engine here. I like it a lot. Being able to just tack a Thunder Dragon Colossus onto your already very strong inboard is even more strong. I touched upon this, I keep saying that. I need to stop talking about things I talked about in previous videos. Anyway, I have thought about trying the Dragon Maid package, the Chamber Dragon Maid plus Dragon Maid Tiding, because that is another very viable package, but I don't know necessarily that I feel like I need more extenders for my combos. I like having this additional piece to the end board, the Thunder Dragon Colossus, which again is a very, very powerful piece of that end board. Being able to shut your opponent out from searching. It's more or less like having a Droll and Lockbird, like always, that's just always on board, like always present there. So Droll and Lockbird, I do think, is a very, that type of effect to shut out your opponent's searching cards, I think is very powerful in this particular format. So I like having it there. I'm still open to trying other engines as well, but I've really, really been liking the Thunder Dragon engine a lot. There's not really been any other changes, I think, to the build at all. Definitely not the extra deck, and I'm looking at the main deck here. That is all looking the same as well. So I think without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and break this down card by card like we always do, and then we'll take a look at some gameplay. So for the build here, we are rocking one PSY Frame Driver, 2 Effect Veiler, 2 Rokket Synchron, 3 Maxx, 2 PSY Framegear Gamma, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 2 White Dragon Wyverburster, 2 Black Dragon Collapserpent, 1 Fairy Tale Snow, 3 Rokket Tracer, 2 Rokket Recharger, 3 Starliege Seyfert, 3 Thunder Dragondark, 1 Thunder Dragonhawk, 2 Thunder Dragonroar, 2 Absorouter Dragon, 1 Noctovision Dragon, 1 Chaos Dragon Levianeer, 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, 2 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Harpie's Feather Duster, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Vatgrass Looks Greener, 3 Chaos Space, 1 Dragon Ravine, 1 Boot Sector Launch, 3 Quick Launch, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, 2 Forbidden Droplet, and then 3 Infinite Impermanence. The extra deck here is going to contain 1 Thunder Dragon Colossus, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon, 1 Chaos Ruler, the Chaotic Magical Dragon, 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, 1 Guard Dragon Pisty, 2 Striker Dragon, 1 Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, 1 Dragonity Knight Romulus, 1 Delindrous Dragon, 1 Quad Boral Dragon, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Access Code Talker, and then finally 1 Borreload Dragon. So there is the build, and now like I said, let's take a look at some games. So our first duel for this video is going to be against an Ancient Warriors deck. It's not like the most meta deck in the world, but if I recall correctly, this game is actually going to show us that turn 1 setup where we can end on Borreload and Borreload. I definitely wanted to be able to show that off here. So opening Grass plus Crossout plus Wyverburster, obviously extremely nice. That's pretty much a guaranteed combo setup right there. Like, the only thing we have to mill with Grass to even like be able to set up a regular board is just like 1 Dark Monster, which we're obviously going to mill with this deck. If I recall correctly, this mill was actually not like the best. It's actually, looking at it here, this is one of the worst mills I've ever gotten off of Grass Looks Greener. All I needed was 1 Dark Monster, but that's really all I got too. The only other thing here, the only other thing that got milled that's even like remotely useful to have milled besides the Chaos Spaces is like the Starliege Seyfert. Everything else was like call buys, maxis, imperms, so but as you can see, even with like a very, very subpar, arguably like one of the worst grass mills you could possibly have, it's still fine because we opened the Wyverburster. That's why it's fine, is because we opened Wyverburster. So yeah, when I say 1 card combo, basically what I mean is like if you have a live Wyverburster or a Collapserpent, that's really all you need to go into Borreload plus Borreload with the setup you're seeing played out before you here. You could open a Starliege Seyfert, you could open a Chaos Space. Either way, I'm going to throw out this Noctovision Dragon, but it's not needed at all here. The only reason I am throwing out the Noctovision Dragon is to get basically an extra draw. I'll also be able to keep an extra material on board as a result, but it's not needed at all. So this is something I covered in the combo video, is getting to this point, right, where you have Dragonity Knight Romulus plus Pisty plus Striker Dragon. I refer to this as like a combo checkpoint, where it's like, okay, if you're at this point, then you've done everything right so far, and you can continue to go into your combo moving forward. So we're going to use the Pisty to revive the Tracer here. Normally, I would just go into, I think, Quad Boral moving forward, like from my, quote-unquote old combo, but what I'm actually going to do with Delindrous here is use Pisty plus Tracer to go into Delindrous. Then you can use Striker to blow up the Delindrous, add the Recharger back to your hand, and then you can use Recharger's effect, send that to the graveyard to bring back the Tracer. Delindrous Dragon will bring itself back, and basically what you've done here is you've more or less just added an extra material to the board to make the Borreload plus still have the Tracer. Now what you can do is use Borreload's effect, negate your own Rokket Tracer, bring back the Recharger, and go for Borreload that way. Again, because I had the Noctovision Dragon on board, I'm going to end with this extra Striker Dragon, and then I also get to draw an extra card as a result. So that's why this board state looks a little bit different, why it's got a Striker Dragon. Normally you might not necessarily have that, but again, just wanted to point that out. So I'll also throw out the Levianeer here at the end, because I drew it at the end, just to get a card out of the opponent's hand. Just give them a little bit extra, or a little bit less, rather, stuff to work with there. So opponent's going to start by activating the Ancient Warrior Saga 3 Visits, which I'm going to negate with the Borreload. That might look like a weird negate, honestly, but I've played against this deck, while not a whole lot, enough to know that this card is stupid good in this deck and needs to be addressed with ASAP. Like, yeah, they might get to special summon Ancient Warriors monster from their hand, but that's totally fine. I would rather than that than add a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to Borreload the spell card, like I said. Put a call buys in response, which looks a little weird, but then it makes more sense as they resolve the droplet. Banishing the Tracer is a good banish with the call by there, because it'll stop me from using a Tracer's effect on the next turn. So they'll negate both Borreload and Borreload, which is definitely annoying, but, you know, as annoying as it is, like, at the very least, I do still have, like, the Levianeer, I've got the backup plays with the Wyverburster, and the Striker Dragon still on board. Like, my opponent's only going to be able to address so much of the board, is what I thought, actually, but then I forgot just how, again, how annoying Ancient Warriors just as a whole can be. Their ability to answer the board is actually fairly impressive, honestly. Very, very solid rogue deck there. The double Dragon Lords we are familiar with due to playing it in Tri-Brigade, but, yeah, no, they're going to be able to special summon this last Ancient Warrior from their hand, which is enough to let me throw out a Nibiru here, which is nice. Otherwise, they would have definitely been able to answer the rest of my board. I probably should have let them answer a little bit more of my board before just tossing out the Nibiru. The token would have had less stats, which, I mean, is, like, mostly irrelevant, honestly, but I'll lead with the Chaos Space here just to see, like, what all draws I get. I also want to put a Collapserpent back so that way I can search it out with the Wyverburster. I think the other Collapserpent is already in Graveyard, if I recall correctly. It should be anyway. No, we did actually still have one in deck, so I didn't need to do that, but I guess, again, it's still nice to have the draw there. So this time I'm going to bring back, well, I'm going to bring back my Levianeer with the Seyfert that's in my graveyard. This time when I'm summoning, I'm going to banish only lights, so that way I get the extra summon effect to bring back the Noctovision Dragon. That'll give me an extra link material and extra draw as well. I don't think I end up needing it here. Like, I could have just summoned something off the Thunder Dragon board, but just having the option to hold it is nice, I think. So I'm going for an access code OTK here, basically. I'm going to summon the Nightmare Unicorn first, spin away the token, and then just, like I said, OTK with access code. Pretty simple stuff. This is, like, pretty gross, actually. I don't know. Access code is one of those cards that I'm like, should it get banned? Like, should this card actually be banned? It facilitates rather enough OTKs that maybe it should. I don't know. It's definitely one of those that I'm on the fence about. I guess let me know what you think in the comments about your opinions as far as that goes. Anyway, access code does what he does best here and ends the game pretty soundly. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump into the next game. Next duel here is going to be against Sword Soul 10E. I actually don't know if they were playing 10E cards, because I did notice at a glance, when I was glancing at my opponent's list, they're main decking 3-dimensional fissures. I gotta be honest, I'm not really sure what you're main decking that for as a Sword Soul 10E deck, but I mean, obviously for graveyard-based decks, right? But in this format, I feel like, I don't know, it might be a bit, it just seems like they're like getting ready for tier limits by just jamming all these dimensional fissures. But who knows, maybe that's not actually what they're doing. Anyway, my opponent's got an Ash Blossom here for the Striker Dragon, which is definitely annoying, because that's obviously going to put a damper in my plays, not being able to get the Boot Sector launch. Thankfully, I do have a Noctovision Dragon, so I've still got some kind of, like, I do still have, like, extension, like I can still make plays here. Gonna go for the Heretic Seal, though, rather than the Romulus, because, you know, I could go for Romulus, but sending Absorouter doesn't do anything here, because I can't, you know, I don't have a Boot Sector launch, I can't get, you know, any of my monsters. So opponent's gonna Droplet my Seal, which is a little annoying, but I do still have both Maxx and Ash Blossom in hand, which is one of the reasons I was fine ending on the Heretic Seal. I figured between the Heretic Seal, Ash Blossom, and Maxx, I could handle whatever my opponent threw at me. So I'll negate their Sword Soul Emergence. Okay, so they are playing the 10E variant. That's what I thought. Yeah, I'm obviously going to negate the Sword Soul Emergence early on in the combo, but the opponent will still have Moye plus a card to reveal. So that's a little annoying, but at the very least I do have the Maxx here. So after top decking the Imperm, I decided to fire off the Heavenly Sphere. I actually didn't think I was going to get to summon a monster off it. I thought that effect would get negated as well. So I was planning on using Imperm to just negate Chi Shao here, but I'll take an Absorouter as well. That's totally fine if my opponent wants to run over that and give me a Tracer for follow-up plays. That is definitely A-okay with me. And, you know, yeah, the opponent's going to get the Long Yawn and be able to go for a Baron here, but I'll still have the Imperm. I can just negate Baron during my opponent's turn, or I can top deck Nibiru and just Nibiru my opponent at the exact perfect moment, because, you know, I'm the luckiest player in the world, but... To be fair, like I said, I did have a legitimate strategy if I didn't draw Nibiru. Like I said, I was going to imperm the Baron, and then just try to bait out the Chi Shao. I don't think it would have been hard to bait out the Chi Shao and still have plays moving forward. So the opponent's going to Vishuda the Nibiru, and then summon a Monk of the Tenyi, which I don't know if they might not have realized. I'm pretty sure it does allow me to just use Nibiru again, because, yeah, Nibiru is definitely... Oh, no, it is once per turn. So, no, JK, I wouldn't be able to use Nibiru again. But, yeah, I mean, still, I obviously had a lot of draws. A lot of cards in hand. Was this 1, 2, 3, 4... Would have been 10, I think, after I drew for turn against their Monk of the Tenyi plus Nibiru token. So, it's going to be an easy GG from my opponent there. So, there's that game. Now, let's jump straight into the next one. Alright, this one's going to be a bit more of a back and forth than that last one was. This one we're playing against, it was like Invoked Branded, which I thought was interesting. They were like Invoked Branded Despia. Basically it was Branded Despia, but instead of using like a Frightfur engine and some of the tech choices, they were using an Invoked engine. Which I don't really know how I feel about that in this build. I decided to imperm the Alistair here rather than Ash Blossom, because I wanted to save the Ash Blossom for like a spell or trap card that I could use it against, or a Maxx during my next turn, which I think my opponent does try to fire off a Maxx during my turn here. So, but yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about Invoked in the Despia branded deck. It just seems like, you know, you already want to normal summon Alibur. Can you really be normal summoning Alistair as well? I don't know, but alright, so this droplet is going to look really, really weird here, but it's actually the only way I'm able to make plays moving forward here, by having this Wyverburster, by having rather the Noctovision in graveyard to banish to summon the Wyverburster. As I've touched on before, Wyverburster by itself is enough to make plays, so my opponent did actually have the Maxx for me to Ash Blossom there, so I am glad I saved it, but they have a call by face down, so... at this point, though, like, yeah, I might not have anything on board besides a Wyverburster, but all my opponent has is this negated Alistair and then one random face-down card. So their Maxx is going to resolve, but I'm not going to play into it at all. I'm moving straight into battle phase. This is something I do. Whether or not to play in a Maxx is honestly a topic that really could be its own video, but in this scenario where my opponent is very low on resources, and I don't want to risk... I just don't want to give them a Nibiru. I don't want to get Nibiru'd for no reason. Is a lot of the reason why I just didn't go into this play here. Like, yeah, I could have probably found... I don't even know if I would have been able to find lethal here, but given how little my opponent just has to work with, I'm fine just battling and passing here and letting them top deck, as opposed to, like, yes, I could improve my board state, but it would come at the cost of giving them advantage as well. And so, yeah, as you can see, my opponent top decks and then just pass it as their one card not being enough. Now, that was risky playing against like a branded deck, which to be fair, I didn't know I was playing against branded Invoked. I only saw the Alistair, but playing against like a branded Despia deck, that is a little bit risky because it's very easy for them to just top deck like Alibur or branded Fusion or something, or like, well, I guess branded opening wouldn't work here because they don't have another card in hand, but you know what I mean. They have quite a few cards they could top deck. Now, I did notice that my opponent's playing like a decent bit over 40 cards. This is why I like to stick to 40 cards if you're not playing a grass build, honestly, is because it'll, you know, the more cards, the more you dilute your deck by putting more than 40 cards in, the harder it's going to be to top deck things when you need to top deck them. And yeah, it's a very small percentile chance, you know, the difference between top decking something with 43 cards versus 40, for example, but when you play that statistic out enough over the course of like hundreds of games, then it starts to add up really significantly. So that's why, again, if I'm not playing a grass build, I really like to stick to 40 cards if at all possible. So, yeah, there the opponent wasn't able to top deck anything because I didn't give them any more draws off Maxx. And then during the next turn, I just link away the Wyverburster for a Striker Dragon, which I didn't even actually have to do. Well, no, I didn't draw the boot sector die. I just searched it. I drew the Gamma. But in any case, yeah. As soon as I like wait for the Striker Dragon, my opponent knows it's over because I can just do my regular play. So then they concede. So I wanted to show that game as an example of showing how it can be good to be patient and not play into Maxx. Sometimes it does very much depend on the scenario, but my opponent didn't have any amount of inevitability on their board, and they only had one random face-down spell or trap card, and then whatever card they top decked. So in that scenario, I'm totally fine not playing into Maxx and just letting them try to top deck with only one option there. But alright, let's just jump straight into the next duel. So this one is going to be against Marine Sis. It's been a little bit since I played against Marine Sis. So it's one of those decks that I think is a little bit more stressful to play against in theory than in practice. Like, I'm always really worried they're going to have like basically like a 4,000 plus attack monster that's unaffected by effects and I can't do anything about it. But I find that a lot of the time they actually don't end quite that well. And I think that's going to be the case from what I recall correctly here, is our opponent's going to end on not that board, but just a different end board. I'm going to normal summon a Rokket Tracer. They immediately fire off a Maxx. Good on them, because I could have very easily gone into Striker Dragon, but I have the call by, so that's very nice. I'll go into the Striker Dragon now after specialing the Absorouter Dragon. Going to use that as my extender. Basically, if you don't open one of the Chaos Dragons, you can still make plays as long as you have like a level 4 or lower dragon plus an extender. So I had the Tracer plus the Absorouter, so that's enough to go into my main plays here. Yeah, so with Ravine, I'm actually not playing Destrudo here, so I actually don't really need to play Ravine at all because I've already used the Absorouter's effect this turn, so sending an Absorouter isn't going to do anything. I did end up activating the Ravine anyway because well, I'll be honest, I forgot. I forgot that I didn't have, the Destrudo in my deck anymore, so I just ended up sending a Seyfert instead. That was the other card I ended up taking out, was Destrudo. Yeah, I don't know. I've got really mixed feelings about that card in this deck. Sometimes it is really, really nice to have it as an extender, but it's so rare that it's needed. That, I don't know, it's just like, I've gone back and forth on it ever since updating this build of whether or not I wanted to include it, but ultimately I just kind of decided to leave it out for now, and I haven't really missed it so far. I guess in this one game it would have been a little nice to have, but again, it's not needed by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, as you can see, even though we didn't open Chaos Space or a Chaos Dragon or Starliege Seyfert, we were still able to end on Borreload plus Borreload. Before passing it over to our opponent here. Alright, so they're going to start by doing just a bunch of Marine Sis stuff. I'm going to let a lot of it resolve. I'm basically going to save the Borreload for negating their Battle Ocean. As far as the Borreload end goes, to be fair, I think I still need to play against this deck a little bit more to figure out exactly, like, if you're in the scenario where you've got, like, one monster negate, like, what monster do you use it on? In this particular, it also very much varies situation to situation. In this particular situation, you know, one monster negate wasn't really going to stop my opponent from doing, I think, pretty much any of the stuff they're doing here, so, especially given how many other cards my opponent has in hand, it's really easy for them to have another extender, so I'm going to try to wait for a more crucial monster effect. And I do find one here in Bahamut Shark, as if this Bahamut Shark had resolved, my opponent would have gotten a totally awesome on board. And I definitely don't want them to have that Omni Negate, so I'll use Borreload here to stop the Bahamut Shark. I would have liked to have saved it for disrupting the combo line a little bit more, ideally, but definitely don't want them to get an Omni Negate online, so I'm totally fine just using it there. Yeah, definitely letting them, I'll let them use that Sea Angel, that's fine. Because I know they already have the Battle Ocean in hand. So the thing is, though, in order for Battle Ocean to give them that, you know, immunity to other card effects, they have to link with Crystal Heart, which I don't think they actually end up doing with this combo line. I think they might have been able to do it had I not negated and destroyed the Battle Ocean here. Because now they have to go for, I think, is it Triangle Coral? Triangle something? Coral Triangle, that is what it was. Coral Triangle, or no, it's the Coral Anemone that brings back the Battle Ocean to hand. So yeah, I wonder if maybe if I hadn't done that, they would have been able to get like another extender back and then go for the Crystal Heart. I don't know, but from this point forward, they're actually not able to go into the Crystal Heart and then from there make their monster unaffected. They'll still get a great Bubble Reef, and that'll have a lot of attack points, which is a little scary, but definitely not as bad as it could be. And actually, when Borreload gets destroyed here, I totally forgot that I get the the Rokket Recharger effect as well. So I'll get back an Absorouter for not only comboing, but also another extender to be able to search another Rokket monster there. I'll use Borreload here just to do it. I don't really anticipate I'll have another good target for my turn, so I'll just use it to bring back the Rokket Synchron here to prevent the Great Bubble Reef from getting any more attack. Not that I'm going to battle over it, or it was really not even just to prevent them from getting attack, it was just to prevent the draw more than anything else, but it'll also prevent them from gaining more attack. But again, I don't plan on battling over this thing at all. I'm just going to go ahead and destroy it. But I'll go for the Borreload first here in order to either bait out or stop any response my opponent might have. They do have the Marine Wave in hand. Marine Sis. I don't know if it's actually Marine Sis or I would imagine it's Marine Sis, right? Because they're all marine animals, Marine Princess, Marine Sis, but anyway, yeah, the Borreload does successfully negate the response here, so get to use Rokket Recharger's effect again as well once I pop my own Borreload for the Rokket Tracer there. So bringing back the Rokket Synchron once again, I'll go for the Chaos Ruler this time. See what I excavate here. Sorry, I bumped to the desk if you heard that little sound there. Yeah, we'll see what I excavate, and I do end up excavating a couple of Thunder Dragon monsters. Definitely want those in the graveyard so I can banish them off of the Chaos Ruler effect. Oh, and then using Ravine to send Levianeer there in order to get back with the Starliege Seyfert. Which I believe I do have one engraved, do I not? Oh, I don't actually. Okay, well the opponent just ended up conceding at that point. A little early, I think, but it would have been hard for me to find a way to go into access code anyway to, yeah, I would have Nightmare Unicorned away their Bubble Reef, access code, what was the other card, Bahamut Shark, yeah, and then just swing for game. Easy peasy there, so yeah, we got one more duel, I believe, so let's just jump straight into it. Yep, one more duel here against the 8-axis blind going second deck. This one is a lot more combo-oriented, I noticed, or just a lot more focused on making the rank 8 monsters. It's got a lot of different combo pieces in that regard, but alright, looks like we managed to open that grass looks greener, so let's pull that slot lever and see what we end up milling here. Hopefully it's better than that last grass. We do have a Seyfert for a Levianeer, so there is that, but aside from that and Fairy Tale Snow, there's not too much going on here, but that's actually totally fine, because we can use the Levianeer to banish the Thunder Dragon monsters that we end up sending to the graveyard. That'll allow us to not only send a card from the opponent's hand back to their deck, or I guess in this case, bait out the Infinite Impermanence, but then we can set up a Thunder Dragon Colossus potentially as well. Although here, I'm looking at my hand, and I can actually normal summon Rokket Synchron, and then just go into the Striker Dragon with that, and then use Striker Dragon plus Levianeer to go into Romulus, and then from there we can go into our regular plays. So, this is actually, I'm really glad, again, very, very grateful that everyone pointed out that Delindrous Dragon play, because I think that's really what I was looking for. I was like, I know, even when I was making that video and I was ending on just Borreload, I was like, I really feel like this deck can end on a better board than that. I don't know it off the top of my head, and it's because I didn't have Delindrous Dragon in the extra deck, but now that I have this combo line to work off of, this is how I really like to learn combo-based decks, right, is if I've got one line that I can learn from, then from there moving forward, I can just branch off of that a lot more easily, so. Yeah, now here, unfortunately, I didn't have any more level 4 lower dragons to go into the, the PSY and Striker Dragon to continue my main combo line, though, so gonna have to end there after the Colossus is good, so, the Colossus will go ahead and get removed by the Kaiju. It's actually not that big of a deal, though, because my opponent's not going to really be doing any searching anyway. And then they start going for a Zodiac line, which I actually totally forgot about this when I was looking at the opponent's deck. I guess I just missed the few Zodiac monsters they have, but yeah, in addition to being focused on a lot of like rank 8 stuff, my opponent's also playing a Zodiac engine, interestingly enough here, so. Yeah, it looks like they're going to try to go for, well, they were going to try to go for a rank 8 plus the Zodiac play here, but they actually end up discarding their own Danger Bigfoot off of Danger Bigfoot's effect, so they're not able to summon it to the board, which is actually really good for me. I mean, I did have 2 Forbidden Droplets face down, so I don't think I would have, like, lost, but this game would have been more difficult for me had that Danger Bigfoot been summoned. So having played Zodiacs a fair bit, both on their own and in Zodiac Tri-Brigade, I immediately recognize the Zeus play when I see one. My opponent's stacking everything up into Borreload before moving to battle phase, but fortunately, I've got this Fairy Tale Snow here in the graveyard, so I'm just going to summon it and flip this Borreload face down, and now I don't have to worry about Zeus at all because Zodiac, or not Zodiac, an Xyz monster hasn't battled, so. Also prevents me from just taking damage in general. I can block the hit from the Alpha there as well, which is nice. I guess to be fair, if the Danger Bigfoot would have been summoned, I could have put it face down with the Fairy Tale Snow, but then I would have had the Zodiac to worry. I would have had a Zeus to worry about too, so I guess overall I'm just grateful that I don't have to worry about that, like at all. So I'm going to go for the Striker Dragon here, but unfortunately I did mill my Boot Sector launch, so won't be getting that. It's not that big of a deal though, because I do still have my normal summon, as you can see there. So I'll special the Collapserpent, and then oh, I can use the Seyfert right to get back the Levianeer here again. This time I'm probably going to try to banish 3 lights again, and just, you know, win the game that way. Well, I say win the game that way, I did skip a few steps. Basically, I'm going to try to banish 3 lights with my Levianeer in order to bring a monster back, go for Nightmare Unicorn and access code, and then access code plus Levianeer will be enough to end the game. Yeah, the Dark Charmer managed to bait out the Imperm. That's perfect. It's literally exactly what I wanted to happen there. Because then, yeah, like I said, I'll just go for the Nightmare Unicorn. I even get an extra search off this Absorouter Dragon. Not that I, you know, need it at all. And I think I actually still have my normal summon at this point. Again, not that I need it at all. It's the thing about Dragon Link. It's a pretty disgusting deck, honestly. A lot of the time, you don't even use your normal summon to like finish off your opponent or to make your initial plays. Oh, here I'm just going for a Borreload Savage, just in case they have something, you know. It's a little bit late to be going for it in the combo. I could have done it a little bit sooner, and if they would have had something to disrupt my plays, I'm sure they would have done it already, but, you know, better safe than sorry. Why not? They could have that Battle Fader or Gores. I know I'm such a Yugi boomer, still stuck thinking that those are still viable responses my opponent could have, but listen, like, you play in a format with Gores, that shit will stay with you for life. If you've never played in a format with Gores, I can't describe it to you. It's just like, thinking you have lethal and then having 2 giant monsters dropped on you and then you lose is you know, that happens to you once and it's enough to scar you for life. Alright, but that's enough of that game there. Let's go ahead and move now to the outro. Alright, thank you very much, everybody, for watching all the way to the very end like this. I very much appreciate that. Also appreciate those of you who are commenting and or subscribing. Comments definitely let me know what you think of the build. If you like the Thunder Dragon engine as well, again, this is one of the main things I'm thinking about potentially changing up is the engine in the deck, but the Thunder Dragon engine has been so good that I really don't want to give it up at all, honestly. But I still should try other things as well. Oh, also definitely appreciate anyone who is checking out the Patreon there. If you want some more daily Master Duel content, definitely feel free to check out the description below. You will find a link to my Patreon page where your support to the channel is very much appreciated, and in return you will be getting more daily Master Duel content that is either not featured on the channel or is a preview of what will be featured on the channel, among many other perks over there. So feel free to definitely check that out. But I think that's about all the time that I've got for this video. So without further ado, this is Hexlex signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.